8:30 on your Wednesday, and I'm back with Charlie O'Hara this morning. Thank you for coming back in.
Great to be here.
We appreciate it, and it sounds like we've got some calls, so you've got lots to talk about.
Okay.
First caller, go ahead. You're on the line.
Hi.
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 Yes, I was wondering,
Go ahead.
okay, I was wondering, I'm calling from Hutch area, and how do you find a Pacific lawyer for what you need?
Well, there's lots of ways to look for a lawyer. Usually, if you're in a community, a good way, I would think, is to talk to people and see what other people have done. However, you can get on the internet and look, you can get in the telephone book and look. I think the telephone book has less effect than it used to. The internet's probably a good place to look. Looking for reviews on the internet, though, I don't really think it is very good in the attorney business, because we make basically everything we're involved in is highly conflicted, and people are fighting with each other all the time. So usually the other side hates us, whatever case we have. So 50% of the people don't like the attorney to begin with. So they'll get on there and post things anonymously about attorneys. But usually, if you've heard of an attorney or you've heard of a firm, usually the attorneys will let you come in for free and consult them for a little bit and talk about your case. Get a feel for that. It's like anything else. If you've got somebody you get along with and you trust, that's the way to go. I mean, obviously, that's the most important thing for anything. And most attorneys are pretty accommodating, and most attorneys are very competent. Now, you know, some of them are flashier than others. Some of them talk to you differently. But a personality match and getting along with somebody is probably the best thing for an attorney, because they're giving you advice about how to do a lot of legal things, plus probably some advice on how to live your life. Okay.
And if you end up needing an attorney who specializes in one field over another, do y'all often refer out to other people that you know might handle a case differently?
Well, actually, we can't specialize in Kansas, but we can we can practice in certain areas. And obviously, it's usually limited, because keeping up on all the different laws that change all the time is very difficult. So most attorneys practice in one area or the other, and they may say so-and-so practices in this area, so-and-so practices in that area. You might go over to that attorney. So that happens too.
Okay. Thanks, Charlie. We do have a second caller on the line. Caller, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. O'Hara. I've been married for 34 years. My husband and I have been separated for about 3 months. We each paid our own bills. That was his rule. He didn't pay a medical bill and got our paychecks garnished for $56,000. Since we've been split up, I borrowed the money to pay a bankruptcy attorney at his request. Said he'd pay me back for it. He paid for a while. He paid part of the money they'd garnished out of my paycheck, and all of a sudden now he doesn't think he has to pay. And I'm just curious if I have any recourse.
Well, I think what you need to do in that instance is you need to think a little bit about your relationship. I mean, separated means you're still married, so everybody's liable for everybody's bills, and it's becoming quite a problem from what you say, and he's evidently not keeping his word. If that's a relationship you want to keep going, then you're going to have to deal with that relationship, and his debts are going to be yours. If you think you're in a situation where the situation is deteriorating, then I think maybe you ought to think about, rather than hiring a bankruptcy attorney, think about hiring maybe a divorce attorney, because a relationship like that doesn't sound like it's built on a very good fundamentals between the two of you. And I think when you're fighting about stuff like that and bills like that, you ought to really think about the relationship you're in.
So at this point in a marriage, because you are both sort of responsible for one another's finances, you're thinking divorce comes before really tackling some of those other issues, if she has recourse or not?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really at all. But I mean, if you're separated and you're not together,
excuse me, yes.
You obviously aren't getting along real well, and why would you want to incur the person's debts and help them if you can't even live with them? So it doesn't make a lot of sense, but some people want to.
Okay.
Well,
thanks, Charlie. Making sure, do we have another caller on the line? Okay, no extra calls. I think that's it for you, Charlie.
Okay, all right.
Some bigger issues, but thank you so much again for coming in. We'll see you next week. And of course, if you have a question for Charlie, you can always call back next week. We're going to take a short break, though, right now. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.